So I'm sitting in my dorm room, well, my ex-dorm room, on a Tuesday afternoon in late March, staring at a financial aid withdrawal form that's due in 6 hours, when my brother texts me a picture of a silver Audi A4 with a giant red bow on the hood. The message just says, "Dad came through. I need you to understand something." 3 months earlier, I'd had the most humiliating conversation of my life with my father. We were in his home office, the one with the leather chairs and the degrees on the wall, and I had my laptop open showing him my spring tuition bill. $12,000. I'd already taken out loans for the first semester, worked 2 campus jobs, and I was still short. I wasn't asking him to pay for everything, just help. Maybe half. He barely looked up from his phone. "Sweetheart, you know money's tight right now. The market's been rough. Your mother and I are barely keeping our heads above water." I remember the exact way the afternoon light was coming through his window. I remember thinking his watch looked new. I remember my throat getting tight because I knew what was coming next, and I was going to have to drop out, and I couldn't believe this was actually happening. "What about the college fund?" I asked. My voice cracked. Super dignified. We had to dip into that during COVID. Medical bills, the house stuff. "It's gone, honey." I'm sorry. Here's the thing about that moment. I believed him. My dad's not a villain in a movie. He's a tax attorney who plays golf on Sundays and does a pretty decent barbecue. When he said money was tight, I thought, okay, I guess the recession hit them harder than I realized. I felt guilty for even asking, so I withdrew for the spring semester. Told everyone it was to figure out my path or whatever. Moved back home, got a job at Target, started saving. My parents were sympathetic. Mom made my favorite dinners. Dad kept saying I could always go back to community college, save money, be smart about it. If you've ever had to smile through advice you never asked for while your entire plan falls apart, you know that specific flavor of rage that sits in your chest like cold cement. But I kept it together. I worked 40-hour weeks scanning groceries and restocking shelves and pretending I didn't see people from high school trying not to recognize me. Then my brother, golden child Jake, freshman at the same university I'd just left, texted me that photo. I stared at it for probably 5 minutes. Just stared. My phone screen dimmed twice and I kept tapping it back on. Looking at this car, this very much not cheap car, with that bow. My hands were shaking when I called my best friend Maya. She picked up on the first ring because she always knows when something's wrong. "Babe?" "What? My dad bought Jake a car." Silence. Then, "I'm sorry, what?" I sent her the photo. I could hear her breathing get sharper. "Your dad. The one who couldn't help with tuition 3 months ago. Bought your brother a brand new Audi." "That's what I'm looking at, yeah." "How much are Audis?" I'd already Googled it. "Base model A4 is like 40,000. More silence. Then Maya said something I'll never forget. "No, absolutely not. You're not crazy. This is not okay." See, that's what I needed. Because part of me was already doing the mental gymnastics, right? Maybe it's used. Maybe he got a deal. Maybe my grandparents chipped in for Jake's birthday. Maybe there's some explanation that makes this make sense and I'm being dramatic, and I should just be happy for my brother. But Maya was furious in a way I couldn't let myself be yet. "Call your mom," she said. "Right now." I did. My stomach was churning. Mom picked up on the third ring, and I could hear the TV in the background. Some home improvement show she always watches. "Hey, sweetie, what's up?" "Jake got a car?" The pause was half a second too long. "Oh, yes, isn't that exciting? Your father found this amazing deal, and Jake really needed reliable transportation for campus. You know how the parking situation is?" "Mom." My voice came out flat. "Dad told me you couldn't afford to help with my tuition." "Well, honey, that's different. That's education costs, and those are ongoing, and we had to think long-term. A car is $40,000, Mom." "It wasn't $40,000. Where did you hear that?" "Your father negotiated. It was much less." "How much less?" Another pause. Longer this time. "I don't think that's really the point." "How much?" $32,000. "But Jake's going to pay us back. He got a part-time job." I hung up. I actually hung up on my mother for the first time in my life. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped my phone. Looking back, that was the moment something cracked open inside me. Not anger yet. Something colder. Clarity, maybe. I pulled up my family's shared cell phone plan. I was still on it, and checked Jake's data usage. Super creepy, I know, but stay with me. He'd been at the Audi dealership 3 times in the past 2 weeks. I checked my dad's credit card statement. The one I still had access to from when I was buying textbooks on it freshman year, and he'd never removed me. There it was. March 15th, Audi of Westchester. $32,850. The same month he'd told me they were barely keeping their heads above water. I sat on my bedroom floor, my childhood bedroom with the old debate team medals still on the wall, and I did. Something probably unhealthy. I went through every family photo on social media from the past 6 months. Dad's new Omega watch. Mom's vacation photos from Turks and Caicos in January. The kitchen renovation they'd just finished. The new furniture in the living room, but sure. No money for my education. Here's what I want you to understand. This wasn't about the car. Not really. If they'd said, "We're prioritizing Jake's transportation over your tuition because XYZ, that would have been horrible, but at least it would have been honest. But they lied. They looked me in the eye and said they were broke while they were dropping 30 grand on a luxury vehicle. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying every conversation. Every time my dad had said money's tight while wearing designer clothes. Every time they'd suggested community college like it was brilliant financial planning and not just cheaper for them. Around 2 a.m., I texted my Aunt Sarah, my dad's sister. We'd always been close. I sent her everything. The screenshots. The timeline. Just the facts, no commentary. She called me at 7 a.m. Your father did what? Turns out Aunt Sarah had just loaned my parents $10,000 6 weeks ago. For emergency medical expenses. Want to guess when they ordered Jake's car? Sarah was livid. I'm calling him right now. Wait, no, absolutely not. This is beyond inappropriate. 20 minutes later, my dad called me. His voice had that tight quality it gets when he's trying not to yell. Why are you discussing our private financial business with Sarah? Why did you tell me you couldn't afford my tuition? We've been through this. You spent $32,000 on a car for Jake. That's an investment in his safety and independence. My education isn't an investment? Silence. Actual dead air. Then, you're being very ungrateful right now. Your brother I needed to stay in school, Dad. I needed to not drop out. I needed you to not lie to my face. We didn't lie. You borrowed money from Sarah for fake medical bills while buying Jake an Audi. That's not lying. More silence. I could hear him breathing. When he spoke again, his voice was different, harder. You know what? Maybe it's good you took time off. You clearly need to mature and understand how the real world works. Not everything is about you. He hung up. I sat there holding my phone, heart hammering, and I felt nothing, which was somehow worse than anger. Just this empty clarity that my father had chosen Jake over me and then lied about it, and when caught, he doubled down. Maya showed up an hour later with coffee and fury. What are you going to do? Honestly, I didn't know. I was 20 years old, working at Target, living with parents who'd just proven they'd rather protect their own comfort than my future. I felt stuck. Then Maya pulled out her laptop. Okay, hear me out. We document everything. Every lie. Every expense. Every conversation. And then you send it to the entire family. That's insane, is it? They humiliated you. They torpedoed your education. They lied to your aunt. Why do they get to just do that? She wasn't wrong. But going nuclear felt terrifying. I thought about it for 2 days. Went to work, came home, avoided my parents. Jake came by once to show off the car, completely oblivious to the situation, and I actually had to leave the house before I said something I'd regret. Then my mom cornered me in the kitchen on Thursday night. Honey, your father is very hurt by how you've been acting. Don't you think you owe him an apology? And something inside me just snapped. An apology. For involving Sarah, for making accusations. I didn't make accusations, Mom. I stated facts. He bought Jake a $32,000 car the same semester he told me he couldn't help with my tuition. It's not the same thing. Why not? Explain it to me. Use small words so I understand. Her face did this thing. This flash of guilt before the defensive walls came up. Jake's situation is different. He's thriving at school, and we want to support that momentum. And I wasn't thriving. You were struggling, sweetie. Your grades weren't great, and we thought maybe taking a break. I laughed. Actually laughed. My GPA was 3.6, Mom. Well, that's not, your father and I discussed it, and we felt, did you feel broke? When you were discussing it in Turks and Caicos? She left the kitchen, just turned and left. That night, I created a Google Doc. Title, Financial Timeline. I laid out everything. Every date. Every expense. Every lie. The tuition conversation. The car purchase. The loan from Sarah, their vacation. The renovations. I included screenshots of everything. Credit card statements, text messages, social media posts. At the bottom, I wrote, I'm not asking for an apology anymore. I'm asking for honesty about why Jake's needs matter and mine don't. I shared it with my entire extended family. Aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, everyone. My father called me 15 minutes later. He was screaming. Actually screaming, "How dare you air our private business like this? You've humiliated us. You've destroyed our family." I was weirdly calm. I documented facts. If you're humiliated, that's because your actions are humiliating. Delete it right now or you're not welcome in this house. Okay, I said. And I hung up. Maya picked me up 20 minutes later. I'd packed 2 bags. I had $700 in my bank account and absolutely no plan. But here's the thing. Within an hour, my phone started blowing up. But not with anger. My Aunt Sarah called. "You're staying with me. Pack your stuff, I'm picking you up." My Uncle Mike. "Your father owes you an apology and tuition money." I'm calling him. My grandmother. "I had no idea. This is unacceptable." My cousin Rachel. "Holy shit, your dad is getting roasted in the family group chat. Turns out, when you present facts clearly and calmly, people see the truth." My father had been playing the struggling parent routine with everyone while living like he was fine. The Turks and Caicos vacation? He'd told his parents they'd used miles. The renovations? He'd told his brother it was mostly DIY. The Audi? Nobody knew about that. The family group chat, which I wasn't even in, apparently went nuclear. My Uncle Mike called my dad out directly. My grandmother demanded to know why she'd been sending Jake birthday money if they could afford an Audi. Aunt Sarah posted the screenshots of the medical emergency loan request, next to photos of the car. My father tried to defend himself. But here's the beautiful thing about lies. They collapse under scrutiny. Every explanation contradicted another explanation. Every excuse highlighted another inconsistency. By Saturday morning, my grandfather called me. "Your father wants to talk to you." I don't want to talk to him, I know. But he's ready to make things right. I met my parents at a diner. Neutral ground. My Aunt Sarah came with me, she insisted. We sat across from them in a booth that smelled like coffee and old grease, and my father looked like he'd aged 5 years. He didn't apologize right away. He tried the defensive thing first. "What you did was inappropriate." Sarah cut him off. "What you did was inappropriate." "Try again." My mother was crying. Actual tears. "We never meant to hurt you, sweetie." "But you did," I said. My voice was steady. "You lied to me. You chose Jake over me and then lied about why." My father's jaw tightened. "We didn't choose. You spent $32,000 on a car for him 3 months after telling me you couldn't help with my education." What else would you call that? Silence. Long, uncomfortable silence. Other diners were definitely listening. Finally, my father said, "Your brother is... he's easier. He doesn't question things. He's happy. And you..." He paused. "You're like me. You see through everything. You call out the bullshit. And that's harder to be around." I wasn't expecting honesty. "It actually hurt more than the lies? So you punished me for being aware?" "No, I took the path of least resistance. And I shouldn't have. I'm sorry, it wasn't enough. But it was something." Here's how it ended. My father paid my outstanding tuition balance. All of it. He also agreed to cover the next 2 semesters. My mother set up a separate education fund for me, in my name only, where they couldn't touch it. Jake's car situation got complicated. My grandparents insisted he pay for his own insurance and gas, which he'd been told he wouldn't have to do. And he was pretty resentful about the whole thing. I went back to school that summer. Took classes through August to catch up. My relationship with my parents is cordial. We talk maybe once a week. I haven't spent the night at their house since. Jake still doesn't really get what happened. He thinks I overreacted about a car. We're civil, but we're not close anymore. The weird thing? The thing I didn't expect? Going nuclear like that taught me something crucial. When you're being treated unfairly, sometimes the only way people take you seriously is when you stop protecting them from consequences. My father counted on me staying quiet because I was polite, because I didn't want to cause drama, because good daughters don't Air family business, but the second I treated the situation like it deserved to be treated as a serious betrayal that warranted serious accountability, everything changed. I'm graduating this December. My GPA is 3.8. I have a job lined up in consulting, and I paid for my last semester myself because I could, and I wanted to. My father came to my senior presentation last month. Afterward, he hugged me and whispered, "I'm proud of you." And I'm sorry. Really sorry, I said thank you. I didn't say I forgave him. Maybe I will eventually, but I learned something more valuable than forgiveness. I learned I'm worth fighting for, even if I have to be the one fighting, especially then.